Vanakkam and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be sharing the recipe for rasam. This is a regular rasam which I make at home on a very regular basis. It's made with garlic, tomatoes, cilantro, tamarind, pepper, and cumin seeds, and asafoetida. It's a very easy rasam. It's very easy on your tummy and helps with digestion and cold and any sinus issues you might have. I'm going to quickly go over the cooking process as I cook it today, and I'm going to talk along with it. As I said, I'm trying a new version of my video where I'm recording and talking as I cook, because that saves me a lot of time and I'm not wasting time on editing. So you're going to hear a lot of background noise and other noises as well. But let's see how it goes. If you can still hear my audio pretty well, then it's going to be good. Otherwise, I'll re-record on the audio on a later stage. But this would make my life so much easier, because then I can upload the videos right away instead of just editing them. So let's go over to the recipe. Here I'm going to show the recipe for rasam. While I had posted this on my Instagram story, a few of you had asked for the recipe, and I said I promised that the next time I make the rasam I was going to record it. So here I'm recording so that you know how I make the rasam. So that's one chopped tomatoes. I usually grind them in a mixie or chop them really fine. And then there is two crushed garlic. I do add it with skin. I find that it gives more flavor with the skin. And then there is curry leaves and Asafoetida. So I prefer to crush it myself. I buy a block and crush it every week to use it through the week. But you can totally buy the ones which are ready-made in the store. And then the most important part is the tamarind. So this is the pulp of juiced tamarind. This is I used one lemon-sized pulp of the tamarind, and I have soaked it in hot water for 5 minutes, and then squeezed it and took the life out of it. Give it a nice squeeze until you feel all the pulp has come out of it, and that's all. And then take out all the parts. You can hold your hand or use a tea sieve to tea filter to actually take out the pulp which has or the actual chewy part which doesn't go in here, and just get the water out and filter out the water, and that's what I have used here. And then of course I'm gonna have some sea salt go in here. So I usually know for this quantity this is how much salt I need, so I'm just adding about 2 spoons. That's how much salt my rasam for this container needs. So this is almost a 500 ml of rasam container. So I'm going to switch it on and add some water here, a little bit more until here, and then start cooking it, and then I will show you the next stage. So I've switched on the rasam. So this is the traditional chombo, which is called metal, which is tin. And just adding the water. The most important part about it is you can never leave this unattended, because the melting point of tin is very low. So if you end up leaving it unattended, it might melt along with the rasam. Will all be gone. It'll melt right on your stove top. So you always need to stay right next to it and make sure that the temperature is not too high. This is one of my smallest burners, so the heat is really low on it, well, medium low. So this is the temperature you want to keep it on. You don't want to go too high with the temperature, otherwise, as I said, the tin will melt. So I'm just going to let it come to a boil, and once it boils, then I will add the spices and coriander or the cilantro leaves, and then give it a tadka, or give it a tempering with. So this is the stage of rasam we are looking for. Now it's all boiled. You can see that the tomatoes are not too cooked, but they are a bit softer, because with rasam we don't actually cook the tomatoes too much. So, and you can see the garlic and everything. It's just about boiling, and it's going to be cooking for another couple of minutes while I get the tempering ready for it. So here I'm tempering the mustard seeds, and I'm going to be adding a bit of the Asafoetida, and I'm going to switch off right there. And that's going to go into the rasam. So this rasam is almost ready. So the rasam is all boiled and ready. I just added a little bit water because it was a little lower than the quantity I usually make. So I'm going to let it come to a little bit of a boil here while I add the other things. So this is the spice which I usually use. It is cumin and pepper. So I use equal parts of cumin and equal parts of black pepper, and coarsely grinded. If you can see, it's really coarsely ground. I run it through the spice grinder, or you can even hand pound it if you don't make rasam quite often. You can just use you can hand pound it more with a mortar and pestle, and that would still work. But I make it quite often, so I like to keep a whole batch of it so that I'm not making it every single time. But if you freshly grind it or pound it, it is going to taste even more better. So this has come to a boil almost here. I'm just going to add a couple of spoons of this. This is my usual rasam, like my everyday rasam which I make. There are different kinds of rasams which I make usually, but this is the most popular one which I make all the time. So I'm going to be adding all the cilantro here. And just add the tempering. So I'm going to, I can't find the ladle I was using, right here. Okay, so this one I'm going to just give it a rinse with the rasam. It actually adds the flavor to it as well, and you get a wee bit of iron from this too. And that's the rasam. The Chombu rasam is pretty popular in the southern part of India, and it is supposed to be very good for your health because it adds the extra micronutrients to the rasam, and particularly when you're eating it during the winter months, it helps with the cold and the sinus issues you have, and it actually clears up your sinuses as well. And rasam cooked in Chombu is supposed to be very good for your health as well. So do look into the benefits of tin and cooking in tin as well. Look for Ayurvedic cooking, because if you look at the contemporary, the Western kind of cooking, and you might not find good reviews on tin, but in Ayurveda, tin is used, and tin vessels is an authentic traditional way of cooking from the south of India, which has been followed for generations, so it is really good. So that's the rasam. I'm going to quickly bring it closer so that you can take a peek. So that's the rasam, all prepped and ready to go.